Welcome to One Question at a Time, the TSI series, video number 32. This is the review sections. Solving equations. So, our target for solving equations is find out the value of x. So we want to isolate x, and step by step, we would like to have step number 1 is rewritten. The given equations if needed. In this case, we know that we have x minus 1 over x. That is the fractions equal 20. Okay, so we have to rewritten when we have the fractions we want to get rid of the square root. We want to distribute the exponent. Then step number 2 is we isolate or we combine like term first. Combine like term. Combine like term, mostly you will see here we have x terms. Here x terms. So we kind of move everything together on one side. So x on one side, x term on one side, and the numbers on another side. Okay, combine like terms. Step number 3 is we isolate x. Okay, let's redo this example. So we have x minus 1 over x. And 20, usually we can rewrite at 20 over 1. Okay, it's the same as 20. And we also have a note. The side note is if we have a over b, that the fractions equal c over d, we will have a multiply d equal b multiply c. Okay. Okay, so we working on that as we rewrite x minus 1 multiplied by 1 equal 20 multiplied by x. Okay. Now x minus 1 multiplied by 1 is just x minus 1. 20 multiplied by x is 20x. Now that is how we got this line right here. Because it's a fractions, that's why we have to somehow make them easier to work with. We avoid the fractions. So here is step number 1 we just talked about. Okay, now step combine like terms. So we see we have x on the left hand side, we have 20x on the right hand side. So we will subtract 20x both sides. Okay. After we subtract it, we will have it x minus 20x is negative 19x on the left hand side minus 1 that equals 0. Okay, so now we want to isolate x, so we have to move negative 1 to the right hand side. So we add 1 both sides. Okay. After this step, we will have negative 19x that equal 1. And we got this step right here. Okay. And combine like term, this is complete combine like terms step. So we have x terms on the left hand side, and then we have numbers on the right hand side. Then next we will divide both sides by negative 19 to isolate x. So we will have x equal negative 1 over 19. Okay. And this is step number 3. Isolate x. And we're done for solving equations. So how we move a term? A term is, you will see something plus or minus something. Each of the part right here is we call it a term. Okay. So this one we have one term, two term, right? On this side we have one term, two term. On this side we have one term. This one can be a numbers. It can be a numbers multiplied with a letters. This can be x, a, b, c numbers 1, 2, like 5x square or something. So each of those terms, it include x. We can have it x square or x. But if it's x, you can combine with something with x, like 3x. If it's x square, you can combine with like 2x square, something with like the same letters, right? So this one, if it's x, you can only combine with something with x, that is the same term. If it's number only, you can combine with the number. So we have x and 20x. If you want to move to another side, so you want to get rid of it, the same amount on the same side, right? So we'll have 20x right here. We have 20x, and then you want to get rid of the 20x on the right hand side, or you want to move it to the left hand side, you can do the opposite. So we have plus 20x on the right hand side. Now we'll do subtractions of the same amount. So subtract 20 of the same amount, 20x. When you do it one side, you have to do to another side. So you subtract 20x both sides. Now on the right hand side is 0. So now you already moved the 20x from the left hand side, from the right hand side to the left hand side. Okay, so now look at number 1. So number 1 is negative right here. We want to move it to the right, so we add the same amount. When we add, we do both sides. See? Then we will have it at a one term equal a numbers. So we always isolate x by divide by the coefficients. Coefficients is whatever in front of x, the numbers, you will divide with the same amount. Because negative 19 multiplied by x, right? So now we do the opposite. We do divide or divisions to negative 19, and we do it both sides. So we can do negative 19 divided by negative 19, that is 1. 1x is x. X equal, the right hand side is negative 1 over 19. So we do the opposite. If it's plus, we want to be moving by subtract the same amount. If it's multiplications, okay, first we have to move first because combine like term. That is step number 2. And then step number 3 is when you have a form of multiplications like x number multiplied by x, like this, numbers multiplied by x equal a numbers. Okay, so that the coefficients, we divide both sides by the least coefficients of x, that in the circle, in the square, in the box. So we isolate x as a numbers on the right hand side, divide by a least coefficients of x on the left hand side. Okay, when you see the multiplications like that, we will use the divisions. And whenever we do one side, we do both sides. Thank you for participating in this review. If you have any questions, please comment in the box below. Thank you. See you next time.